Okay, good morning and welcome to Saturday morning meditation. Let's take a moment to remember our motivation of compassion. We're here not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of all sentient beings. So just take a moment to generate compassion. And then we'll open with 3 7-line prayers. Organ yogi num jansam pemage sardompola yatsen chogi ngodrupne pemajong ne jesura kordu kandro mangpokor ketki jesu druki jinji lop cheer sheksu so guru pema city home. Organ yogi num jansam pemage sardompola yatsen chogi ngodrupne pemajong ne jesura kordu kandro mangpokor ketki jesu druki jinji lop cheer sheksu so guru pema city home. Organ yogi num jansam pemage sardompola yatsen chogi ngodrupne pemajong ne jesura kordu kandro mangpokor ketki jesu druki jinji lop cheer sheksu so guru pema city home. So the meditation that we'll be doing today is called Shamatha meditation. This is a traditional Tibetan Buddhist practice, and it's actually traditional to all forms of Buddhism. The Buddha said that this is his favorite practice, that meditating on the breath was his favorite practice to do. And this is a very relaxing practice, relaxing for the mind and very healing. And it's also, you don't have to be Buddhist to do this meditation. It doesn't require belief in any particular thing. It just requires doing the steps of meditation, and that's it. And we can all benefit from it. So Jetsama has taught that meditation is the natural state of mind when it is relaxed, stable, and open. And when we meditate on the breath, or you can actually do shamatha meditation. You can meditate on any kind of object. You can meditate on a candle or an image of the Buddha or a flower. Today we'll be meditating on the breath. And meditating in this way trains our mind to be both calm and relaxed and alert and wakeful at the same time. Usually we're either, maybe we just get relaxed in a kind of selfish way where we get kind of sleepy and I feel so good. And, sometimes people can feel like that in their meditation. And that's not what we're going for, is like oh, I feel so good, I just want to drift off to sleep. We are also being alert and wakeful, not in an anxious way because we're calm and relaxed, but we're awake to our experience. We are not asleep to what's going on around us. We are very present. We are awake to the present moment. And the point of this meditation is to create space in your mind. And creating space in the mind helps us to balance our emotions. It gives us some time between action and reaction. And that little bit of space in the mind is the first step in the development of bodhicitta. And it's very difficult to uh, to have compassion for others, or to to be open to wisdom and insight when we are so when our minds are basically bouncing around the room like a rubber ball. If we're just bouncing from one thing to another, like boom, 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 reaction, 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 reaction. There's no time to connect with our heart, to connect with our wisdom, to connect with our compassion. We just are acting off of our habitual impulses. So when we have this little bit of space in the mind, suddenly there's just a little window through which we can start seeing some compassion peek through. We can start seeing some wisdom peek through. That little bit of space in the mind starts giving us the opportunity to develop bodhicitta and move beyond our own habitual, self-focused kind of thinking. We can move beyond that if we have just a little bit of space. So meditation helps create that space. And so it's a foundational practice. And this meditation is having a spacious mind like that, a spacious and stable mind. That is a foundation for any kind of spiritual practice. So whether you're Buddhist or not, that is a solid foundation from which to do any kind of practice, any kind of spiritual practice. And also within Buddhism, we do a lot of deity practices, especially in this tradition. We tend to focus more on prayer. We focus a lot on visualization. We focus on these other practices, and it's important to not forget this shamatha meditation, that having a calm and spacious mind, a stable mind, it's the only way that you're going to be able to make any progress with these other practices we do. It goes in tandem. So the other ones can look fancier, and they can have music and horns and all of this stuff that goes on, and it's very exciting. And this one is really boring, but it's very important. So we can take a comfortable seat. You can either be sitting cross-legged on the floor, which is the traditional way to sit. Traditionally, you'd probably be sitting in lotus posture, which I'm not flexible for that, and you don't have to be flexible enough for that. You can just sit cross-legged on the floor, or you can sit in a chair. And place your hands in your lap, gently relaxed. We tend to, traditionally, we hold the one hand in the other hand with the thumbs touching this. And put your hands just below your navel. You can also just rest your hands on your legs. And then check in with your posture. Make sure your spine is straight. You can imagine a thread going up your spine and out the crown of your head, and just tug that thread to make your spine nice and tall. And your shoulders are open. Shoulders are kind of back and open. We're not collapsing in on ourselves. And your elbows are out a little bit from your body. So it's traditionally described as like vulture wings. Our elbows are kind of out like vultures when they dry their wings in the sun. And this creates a lot of space around your rib cage, which you want because you want room to breathe. You want room to breathe comfortably. Allowing the breath to move through our body unobstructedly helps our thoughts and experiences to move through unobstructedly without us getting caught in them and stagnating and getting stuck in them during our meditation. Your eyes are going to remain open, looking downwards. You can imagine a line following the bridge of your nose and extending down to the floor. And then just find a point along that line where it's comfortable to rest your gaze. And if you're not used to meditating with your eyes open and that feels really weird to you, it's okay to start by closing your eyes. And then as you get more used to meditation, you can try meditating with your eyes open. We meditate with the eyes open for a couple reasons. Because we want to stay awake. That's one. And also because we're not shutting out the things that are happening in our environment. We're not shutting off our eyes and ears. We're not blocking out any of our experiences. We're present with them. So our eyes are open, looking downwards towards the floor. And then lastly, place the tip of your tongue right behind your front teeth. It's like you're saying the letter L. And allow yourself to relax completely and breathe normally. Just settle into your natural cadence of breath. And then put a very light attention on your breathing. Don't try to control it at all. Just breathe naturally with the most gossamer thin attention on your breath. It's like taking your pulse. Don't try to control it in any way. Don't put any pressure on it. Just observe it. Your attention is like a feather, gently riding on the surface of your breath. When thoughts come up, just let them go like bubbles popping on the surface of a pond. Don't even look to see what they are. Your meditation is not lost by hearing your thoughts, but by following them down the road. So when you find yourself hooked by a thought and following it along, as soon as you notice that, just drop it. Just let it pop and return to your breath. And if it's really difficult for you to dismiss your thoughts, you can imagine cutting them with scissors and throwing them away, or picking them up with tongs and dropping them, whatever works for you. But you always return to your single-pointed concentration on your breath. Drop the thought, return to your breath. Returning again and again to that gossamer thin attention on your breath. For our first round, we'll meditate for 5 minutes, and then we'll pause and meditate for longer. Let's just return again and again to your breath. Right, so that's our first round of meditation. So when we're meditating, it is completely normal for thoughts to be filling your head while you're meditating. Sometimes when people first start meditating, they think that they're not very good at it because they think, oh, I can't just sit here in silence with my mind just totally quiet. But that's not what we're doing. We're not trying to have our mind be totally quiet. That's a misconception about meditation. And I think it's important to pop that misconception because it keeps people from meditating a lot of times when they think they're not very good at it because their minds are full of thoughts. And well, that's because that's how minds work. That's what minds do, is we have all these thoughts in our heads, and that's just it's gonna be that way. That's not gonna stop because you're meditating. The thing is just we're not focusing on the thoughts. The thoughts will still be there, and they're just like clouds passing in the sky. Or I like to think of like pedestrians walking down. Like if you ever like sit outside a coffee shop or something and watch people walk by, you don't run up to every single person walking by and go, "Hi, what are you thinking right now?" And like, as you don't just like go interrogate every person that walks by. You're just sitting there observing them, and you just see them going by, and like they're over there. And so, you can be just kind of disengaged from them. So maybe one catches your eye, you're like, "Wow, that's a bright colored shirt," or whatever, and but then you're like, "Oh, right, I'm not going to go talk to that lady, even though she's got a really cute dog. I'm not going to go talk to her. I'm staying over here in my seat and I'm just watching it go by." And our egos during meditation, our egos will do everything they can to distract you. So they'll try to make those thoughts really enticing or really provoking sometimes. And I feel like it's kind of like when a kid is trying to get their parents' attention and they go, "Mom, mom, 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 mom." And if you don't react to them for 20 times, but you react on the 21st time, they will know in the future they have to say that 21 times, and they will. And they will just keep saying it. They'll say, this, they will say it as many times as necessary. I saw this parenting advice that was like, if you're gonna break, just break early. Like if you're gonna give in and give them the cookie, do it after the first time. Don't teach them to ask you 10 times. But but like your mind will do that too, and it'll be like, "Oh, you're such a good meditator." And you go, "Ooh, that appeals to me. I'll listen to it." But maybe that doesn't appeal to you. You go, "No, I'm not. I'm focused." And then it goes, "Oh, the world could be ending. You should be doing this," And it's like, I'll try a different tactic. And so it'll try and find what's your weak spot, what is going to get you to look at it, what's going to get you to go back into distraction. And then we have all sorts of weaknesses. We've got, hatred and greed and ignorance and jealousy and pride, and we've got all sorts of strings it can pull to get us to look at it. Any of those could be the thing that makes us go like, "Oh yeah, I am jealous of that person," or like, "Yeah, I am really great," Um, and then also, you'll remember that you left the stove on, or you'll finally come up with the solution to something. You have the most brilliant idea you've ever had in your entire life. You're like, "I have to stop meditating and write this down." But don't. You just keep meditating. So no matter what is going on in our heads, the way to handle this is disengage and just dismiss the thoughts and return to the breath. And we don't try to suppress the thoughts. We don't tell ourselves to stop thinking. We don't try to replace the thoughts with positive thinking. We don't try to, think positive, think blissfully. We're not doing that. Whatever thoughts it is, just let your thoughts be. And so that can be if you're going, so if you're going through a difficult time mentally, meditation can be very difficult because we're just letting those thoughts be. And then so if those thoughts are depressed thoughts or anxious thoughts or, whatever unpleasant thoughts we have, you just have to sit with them and you don't change them in any way. You let them be. You stay present with them. And that's I mentioned that having space in the mind opens us up to compassion, but also being present with ourselves helps us to cultivate compassion because we have compassion for ourselves, to stay present with that feeling, to just feel it and to feel the suffering that we're actually experiencing. And then also to remember that we're not the only ones experiencing that. And there are so many other beings out there going through, whether we're being besieged by anger or sadness or whatever unpleasant emotions are, you're not alone in that. And there's so many other beings out there experiencing that too. And if we don't know how to be present with our own suffering, how can we possibly be present with the suffering of others? So it's important to just stick with it and learn to be present. And sometimes if you're having a difficult time, you might just meditate for 30 seconds and that's okay. Like you have to be, do what you can too. Don't sit there with a gun to your head, just, be kind to yourself too. Sometimes it's a lot, especially when you're when you're new to meditation, you're not used to sitting with those experiences and can be really a lot. But you build up the muscle over time. You start with what you can, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then build up from there. So let's build up and let's do a little bit of a longer meditation now. So I'm going to set our timer. And all right. So we'll sit with a straight back, hands in your lap. Shoulders are open, rib cage is open, elbows are slightly out. Your eyes are relaxed and gazing downwards. Allow yourself to relax completely and breathe normally. And put a very light attention on your breathing. Don't try to control it at all. Just breathe as you normally would, with the most gossamer thin attention on your breath. It's like taking your pulse. Don't try to put any pressure on it or change it in any way. Just observe it. Your attention is like a feather, gently riding on the surface of your breath. All right, so that's our meditation practice for today. And we will just end with some dedication prayers. Just before we say the prayers, just whatever experience of meditation you just had, we're just going to let it go. So, just like throughout our meditation, our thoughts and experiences, we just dropped them. Whatever experience you had, whether you feel all puffed up and great as a meditator, or you feel like that was a really frustrating experience, just going to let it go. And we'll say these 3 prayers. Throughout my many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue I have accomplished, including the merit generated by this practice, and all that I will ever attain, this I offer for the welfare of sentient beings. May sickness, war, famine, and suffering be decreased for every being, while their wisdom and compassion increase in this and every future life. May I clearly perceive all experiences to be as insubstantial as the dream fabric of the night, and instantly awaken to perceive the pure wisdom display in the arising of every phenomenon. May I quickly attain enlightenment in order to work ceaselessly for the liberation of all sentient beings. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas all together, whatever kind of motivation you have, whatever kind of beneficial action, whatever kind of wishing prayers, whatever kind of omniscience, whatever kind of life accomplishment, whatever kind of benevolent power, and whatever kind of immense wisdom you have, similarly I who have come in the same way to benefit beings pray to attain these qualities. By this effort, may all sentient beings be free of suffering. May their minds be filled with the nectar of virtue. In this way, may all causes resulting in suffering be extinguished, and only the light of compassion shine throughout all realms. All right. Thank you for coming.